Today on Area Unlocked, we have a very special guest, Sylvia McLeese from the Lions Club, Maple Lions Club. Thank you, Sylvia, for coming in today.
Thank you for inviting me, Michael.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. I've been using this outlet to try to, add value to the community, and it's funny because, well, it's confusing because I've been trying to define community for a long time now in my marketing efforts in language, and it's hard to define in a single word or single sentence. It's more so the people around us,
yeah,
right?
It's the people.
You were just mentioning some of your ideas of what community is.
It's engagement. It's knowing who's around you. It's chatting to people, going for a walk, being able to say hello and engage and know the people that you're running into, walking into a grocery store and having conversation, picking up the phone, having someone call you if they're doing something, or maybe a neighbor needs a hand. These things happen, and we should always be there for each other. And that's just it. It's being there for each other.
It's being there for each other. So community is not just a subdivision.
No.
It's not just a street.
No.
It's not a location. It is people. It is your neighbor. It is your fellow business owner. And we have the internet nowadays, and it makes for very, very broad community. Very, very distant community. There can be communities connected through around the world.
Yeah,
but bringing it
absolutely.
into this bringing it back to the local community, to the the tangible, your neighbor, like you said, the business owner, the grocery store, Maple Lions Club. So that's really good stuff to kind of understand what community is, and that's my goal, is to kind of bring that back and use that and apply that with real estate, because I believe that will, it'll offer a lot more insight for people who want to move to our community, who want to move to Maple or to Vaughan or to York Region, who want to know more about it, who aren't just buying a dwelling. They're going to be living there. They're going to be having a home.
Community it's an amazing place to live. It's an amazing place for young families to raise children.
Yeah, I agree.
Kids need community engagement. They need to be able to have friends to play with and things to do and places to go, and a safe environment to do all of that in.
Yes, that's very, very important, safe environment. So, Maple Lions Club, okay? Tell me about it. What do you do there? What's your position there?
I am the president of the Maple Lions Club. I have been the president for double-digit years now. I've lost track.
Okay.
The longest running president in club history.
Okay.
And that's really because, it's not just because I'm good at it, it's our membership, our core membership is very small.
Okay.
We do, like most organizations, struggle for new members. We're always looking for more members, but we do struggle to achieve that, which is, it's a little bit sad, because when you have more members, you can do more, you can be more engaged. We just did enroll a new member last week, which is very exciting, and that will have an impact on us, certainly in a very positive way. And we're already seeing that, because he brings something to the table that it's a skill set that our other existing members don't possess, so that's an added bonus to the club.
Awesome.
And
so what is the Lion Club? Like, I know it's international. It seems like a kind of like a franchise setup, different locations. I've done some research. Maybe you can give me a little bit of background how it works.
So Lions Clubs International is the world's largest not-for-profit service organization.
Okay.
And when I say service, I mean service.
To the
community,
Okay.
to our local and to our global community.
Beautiful.
We are
Okay.
not the kind of not-for-profit that has one thing and one thing only that we do. We are engaged in all sorts of activities. So when you think about a lot of not-for-profits, they do one thing. That's their core idea.
Okay.
Cancer. Cancer does cancer.
Right.
We don't do one thing. It's broad spectrum. And Lions International is made up of all the clubs around the world. Together, we create Lions International, and we have clubs everywhere. I think our core membership it must be about 1.2 million people around the world.
Yeah, I think it says, I think I printed it out, 1.4 million members.
Okay, there you go.
Approximately 46,000 clubs in more than 200 companies and geographical areas across
Correct.
the world.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then when you bring it closer, you have, each location would have its own franchise.
So here in the city of Vaughan, we
okay.
have 3 Lions clubs and 1 Leo club. Most people don't even know that.
I only heard of Maple Lions Club.
Yeah. So we have a club down in Concord, there's one in Woodbridge, and then there's a Leo club in Kleinburg.
Okay.
And if we, let's say, jump over to the next community, we have clubs in Richmond Hill, there's
Markham.
oodles of clubs in Markham.
So there could be more than one in each area.
Absolutely. Some clubs, so Markham is a very good example. You have a host of clubs because some of them are special interest.
Okay.
And a special interest club, and we see that in Toronto too, for example.
Okay.
A special interest club might be a club that, so I know there's a doctor's club in one of the hospitals, and to be a member, you have to be a staff member from the hospital.
Okay.
And then what they do is related to the hospital in a positive way. So that's their sort of thing that they like to do. And sometimes special interest clubs do that. And we see that in Markham too. We don't have that here in Vaughan. So the clubs that are here, they're a bit more broad spectrum. I know that the Woodbridge Club, a lot of their members are heavily involved with the food bank.
Okay. Okay.
So,
and what is Maple Lions Club involved in?
We're-
What are like the different things?
We're doing all kinds of things. So we're a little bit more broad spectrum. We do a lot of fundraising, which allows us to put monies back into the community through different programs and projects that are out there. I always like to say that we like to try and meet in the middle. So between what people have and what people need, there tends to be a gap in the center, and we try to help fill that gap. So as far as
an example of that?
activities, well, just recently, a couple of weeks ago, we helped fund a walker for a family that has a young adult son.
Okay.
Who has disabilities and requires a special walker.
Okay.
But because he's technically an adult, ADP would not fund a walker for him because the adult walkers they couldn't convert it to fit for him. So the family wanted to purchase a youth walker that was going to then be adapted to work for his needs. Well, there you have a gap in the middle.
Yeah.
ADP couldn't see
How to get that.
that this young man needed something that they were not willing to fund. That didn't make any sense.
Wow.
So we filled that gap for them.
That's awesome. And you do that through fundraising?
We do that through our fundraising. So what do we do for fundraising? We do a bunch of different things. Our club, one of our biggest projects is electronic recycling.
Okay.
Which
E-waste
falls
recycling,
under
yeah.
e-waste recycling, which falls under one of our pillars of service. So in Lions, we have core pillars of service, and environment happens to be one of them. Different districts have more than that. So if you look at our district, we have a host of activities that we do, mental health, et cetera, et cetera. So one of our things is the electronic recycling. And we got in on that many, many years ago, sort of when the program was in its infancy within the province of Ontario. And back then it was funded through the government through an incentive program to develop the program so that it could be rolled out to the public as a regular recycling program. So we got involved in that, and we didn't start out doing that. We were ironically sitting in a hospital waiting room one day with one of our kids, and my husband's pacing around, and he saw a bulletin board and read a flyer and took the number off the flyer. And then down the road he called the gentleman, and it's just some elderly gentleman who is retired and he's refurbishing computers to donate back out into the low ends of the community. He's having a hard time getting his hands on the computers. And he was licensed under what was then called the MARS program, Microsoft Office Refurbisher.
Okay.
He was licensed. So we partnered with him to get our hands on, because as a Lions Club, we had more recognition in the community.
Right.
To get our hands on the computers, he was refurbishing, and we were donating them out. Well, that generated a byproduct, which was junk, because there's stuff that we couldn't deal with.
Right. Bits and parts that didn't fit.
We came
didn't work.
to the attention of a recycler that was in the electronics program, and they invited us to sit with them and said, why don't you collect electronics? Do it as a fundraiser. You'll get more access to computers. And we did, and they helped us get off the ground with that. So that became our electronic recycling program, which does in fact get us greater access to those gently used computer systems out there. And although the MARS program no longer exists and that gentleman has since moved on,
The program has evolved.
the program itself has evolved.
And for the viewers who are watching this, there is money to be made submitting this electronic waste to these recycling facilities.
Absolutely.
So they reimburse, or they give money out for this product, because the recycling itself, whether it's plastic or precious metals that are in there, can be reused.
Yep.
I know,
Correct.
there's gold in there for a lot of connectivity. There's copper, silver, sometimes palladium. There's all kinds of stuff in there. Palladium, one of them.
Yep.
So
I'm not up on all of that.
So there's a lot of precious metals that they can harness from these. So they do pay consumers.
Yep.
And that's how I actually had met your husband, Dale, was from a past business I was doing. We were providing him with a lot of the e-waste that we were collecting from junk and stuff like that. So that's a great program. So this program helps you raise money. It's two-pronged, I guess, recycling for the environment, and raise money that you guys can use in your coffers to help people in the community.
And we still are refurbishing gently used PCs and laptops that
Okay.
we donate out into the community. So we've been in this for so long, people know how to reach us. I get counselors who reach us, I get schools who contact us, I have churches who contact us, community groups who contact us, and so on. Currently, we're filling a lot of needs for refugee families.
Okay.
So they come here, in many cases, with all the conflict that's going on around the world. We're seeing Canada, like other countries, taking in refugees. Many of them have fled with virtually nothing, and they're arriving here with virtually nothing. So giving them a laptop that they can take to a library,
Yeah.
to be able to communicate with family at home, possibly, to help them learn the language, to help them find jobs. That's important, and we're doing that at no charge.
Wow, that's amazing.
So we're refurbishing those units, we're putting in a new OS and cleaning them up and then handing them out.
So just so the viewers can maybe contribute, how do they contribute to this e-waste? If they have some, one VCR, old VCR, is that going to help?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there a location?
I have a bin at our Lions Hall here in Maple.
In Maple, okay.
And when people donate, bring us their old electronics.
Okay.
That goes into the bin. When the bin is full, it's toted
taken away.
off.
Okay, so I'm going to post the address of this location so that if people want to help out or dispose of stuff, they can go bring it to that bin.
Yeah. And then now those funds that we generate from that, that's funding that we use for the programs that we give to, for the expenses incorporated into refurbishing some of our electronics, because every once in a while we have to buy new parts. We can't always reuse everything. Hard drives, for example,
Right.
we need to get new ones. And it just rolls the program along.
Awesome, awesome. What about other programs? Like, I could see that someone coming from a different country, a refugee, or even a local community who's maybe struggling financially could use an appliance, could use a refrigerator or a stove, or
We don't have the storage for
Okay.
things like that. That's the problem. That stuff is out there, and I do get those phone calls. As much as I would like to try, and we do try. I have an
course.
optometrist shop locally that called last week. They're changing up their equipment. So the chair you sit in when you go into the optometrist's office, the equipment that they're utilizing, so they're changing that. They don't want to throw it away because it's still good working equipment.
Right.
What to do with it. So right now we're trying to figure out if there is a resource that we can scoop that up and send that somewhere else to be used.
So I always
I
ask-
don't know.
I always ask my clients when they're selling, what they're going to be doing with their appliances, because then I can give Dale a call and say, hey, I've got this fridge, I've got this dishwasher, I've got this stove. Does anybody need it? And I know, that might be beneficial, but it's very hard to kind of store these things and then wait for someone to want them. So maybe in the future, an idea would be to start a list. Have a computer database where people can log in online and say, hey, I need something. And then, eventually, if getting the phone calls of people saying, hey, I've got an old bed, I've got there's other programs that do that. There's Goodwill,
There are